Welcome back to our fifth lecture session. Uh, Again, I am Dr. Nivedita Lal from ITM Gida Gorakhpur from the Department of Applied Sciences and Humanities. Uh, Today, in this session, we are going to talk about a very simple thing. Actually, this point is so simple that very few of us pay attention to it. But if we pay attention, I feel that for students, if you want to perform well in your career, it is the most important thing which you have to be careful about. See students, some of you academically do very well and you reap the rewards throughout your life. On the other hand, some do not pay attention, proper attention in academics, and they also get what they deserve. But some, I feel that they don't know where they lag behind. They don't realize where they lag behind. And I feel that every professional student from 9 to 4, he spends multiple hours in the institute where he is studying with the teachers, classroom lectures, labs. But by the end of the day, when the exams approach, they do not find any help from those hours which they have spent in the institute, those long hours which they have spent in the institute. That is because they did not pay attention to what they were actually supposed to do in the class. Yes, you sit in the class with one objective, that is, you have to listen to your professors. If you develop this skill, I am 100% sure that whatever IQ level you have, whatever academic problems you have, 50% of your work is done in your educational institution, and rest what is left is to discuss the unclear points with your professors. So, not paying attention to this harms you such a lot that ultimately it might ruin your career and your dreams. So, the topic for today includes in its agenda. Before discussing the agenda, I like to recall Mr. Johnson's quote, which says, "Listening is the ability to understand and respond effectively to oral communications." A famous philosopher and writer, Mr. Johnson, has to define it in this way. The agenda for today's lecture is, first, why do we listen? To gain new information and ideas transferred through formula and informal channels. Second, we listen to enable us to be effectively participating in discussions and offer other interactions. Next, we also listen to get an initial idea of an oral message. We listen to understand the central idea of any topic. We listen to understand the subject matter. We listen to obtain specific information. We listen to understand new developments in a particular field. We also listen to broaden our outlook, and we listen to seek evidence for one's own point of view. What is this listening process actually? It's so simple. In this process, we find that the first thing is sensing. The listener hears sound and focuses on it. Then this sound we have to decode in the second step. The listener decodes the message. After decoding the message, the listener evaluates it, and then comes the chance of responding. It can be in the form of your answer copies, it can be in the form of your tests, it can be in the form of your viva, etc. So, this simple process, if done properly, it can make tremendous development in your educational endeavors. There are so many kinds of listening. If we try to analyze it, see, we have superficial listening. Now, we listen to television the whole day. Sometimes we listen to television having a breakfast or lunch. So, this is superficial listening. We are not much bothered about taking up anything. It is just simple, and we are listening and also engaged in some other tasks at the same time. Other kind of listening can be appreciative listening. Appreciative listening, we are all set, we have a liking for what we are going to listen. So, this appreciative listen, see, this is what makes difference. I have often found that some of the students, they love to attend some academic classes, whereas others, they do not want to sit in the class for other subjects or other teachers. That can be called appreciative listening. The teachers whom you like, you want to attend the class. The teachers, for any reasons, I am not saying that they are at fault, teachers are at fault, for any reasons you do not have a liking for the teacher, you avoid the classes, which is wrong, of course. Teacher is always there for your benefit, and you should take the benefit fully. Then focused listening, all the students who do well in academics are trained in this practice. They are focused. Each and every teacher, he is well prepared with a lecture of 1 hour at least, and with his preparation, with the intention that the student should be benefited by his lecture, he comes to the class. If you are in the habit of focused listening, you will have less to do at home. You need not go for tuitions. You need not spend those extra hours, the extra efforts which you often do, because you have not listened in a focused way. Then evaluative listening. Evaluative listening is definitely, we evaluate what is important for us and we evaluate what is not important for us, and accordingly we pay attention. For some topics, we decide that if the quotation is being stated, if the datas are being given, you all jot down and you all listen. But if theory part is explained in an expanded way, I have often found that you do not bother much, some of you. So, evaluative listening is also there, and then attentive listening. Attentive listening is, it is a practice that whatever goes in the class, you have to be attentive. You are in the habit of sitting in an attentive way and listening to whatever goes without any judgment. Empathetic listening. Empathetic listening is again related to your choice, whether you have empathy. If you have empathy for the speaker, you will listen to him carefully in an empathic way. Now, if taken in a broad way, we can divide listening in two categories: affective listening and ineffective listening. In affective listening, the listener is conscious and aware of a clear purpose of listening. But in ineffective listening, there is no clear and specific purpose of listening. In the first section, that is affective listening, again the listener understands the tone and the language of the speaker, whereas in the second section, that is ineffective listening, the listener feels difficulty in understanding the tone and language of the speaker. Then in the first category again, when we move, we find that the listener pays attention to the whole speech, including theme, supporting details, etc. But on the other side, in ineffective listening, the listener is utterly careless while listening to the presentation. Affective speaker definitely will be interested in queries because he is interested in the lecture, and ineffective listener has no or very little interest in queries. Affective listener, while listening, interprets the content simultaneously. His mind works together with his ears, but the ineffective listener makes no attempt to interpret the things being spoken during his speech. Now, with this listening practice is connected note taking, because you all are students and this whole endeavor is for your benefit. Let us connect these two things. Note taking, if you are listening and not in the habit of note taking, again you should mend your ways, because note taking is the process of writing down quickly, briefly and clearly the important points of a lecture, speech, presentation or any other structured verbal message. Note taking includes the 4 simple steps. First is listening, we have already discussed that. Filtering, yes, you can't, it is not possible for you to note down everything that a teacher speaks unless and until the teacher is dictating notes. So, filtering the content, what you have to jot down and what you have to leave, that discretion you should have. After filtering, the next step will be paraphrasing, gathering whatever you have collected in writing and then noting it down in writing. So, these 4 steps will help you, will help the listener in improving listening ability. Now, improving and developing listening ability as a skill needs some instruction, which I like to share with you over here. First is, you should have a desire to listen. Desire, you know, you should have a desire to listen. And when you have this desire to listen, you will be able to fight against any and all distractions which you face in your classroom and focus on the top. Second is, delay evaluations and premature conclusions. Yes, this, because you know, many times I have seen that students, they draw conclusions, especially about teachers, very quickly. Just try to understand what is being stated, because a lot of efforts the teachers put with for you. So, do not evaluate in one single hour that that teacher is good, that teacher is bad, he can't teach, and you know, it's everyone works very hard for you. So, simply criticizing, of course, if the voice of the teacher is not audible, of course, if he or she is moving forward very fast during his lectures, you should intimate him in person. You can discuss these problems, but do not draw premature conclusions. Next will be to inculcate the habit of noting down salient points. As already discussed, what you have to note down, because time is less. The teachers, they have 55 or 50 minutes at their disposal. So, you have to see what should be noted down, and you have to manage your speed as well. Sit in the class with a positive mindset. Believe me, if you sit with the intention of learning in every period of your class, you will be learning something new. So, be in the habit of sitting with a positive mindset without any prejudices against any of the teacher. And concentration and comprehension should go together. Concentrate and comprehend, and see how much positive effect it's going to have on your academic life if you go for this skill. Thank you.